Look up on a clear night, and you'll see about 2,500 stars with the naked eye. But that's just the beginning. Our galaxy, the Milky Way, contains somewhere between 100 and 400 billion stars, and the observable universe holds at least 2 trillion galaxies. That's more stars than grains of sand on every beach on Earth. The universe is 13.8 billion years old. Our sun is only 4.6 billion years old, a relative newcomer. There are stars out there billions of years older than ours. Billions of years of head start. Billions of years to develop technology, to build civilizations, to spread across the cosmos. So here's the question that has haunted scientists for decades. Where is everyone? We've been listening for over 60 years. We've scanned millions of star systems. We've sent messages into the void. And what have we heard back? Silence. Complete, absolute, deafening silence. And that silence might be the loudest warning in the universe. Today, we're exploring the theories scientists have proposed to explain this cosmic mystery. Some are hopeful, some are disturbing, and some are absolutely terrifying. Let's start with the math. Because the math is what makes this so disturbing. In 1961, astronomer Frank Drake created an equation to estimate the number of detectable civilizations in our galaxy. It's called, appropriately, the Drake equation. It considers factors like, how many stars are born each year? How many have planets? How many of those planets could support life? How often does life actually emerge? How often does it become intelligent? How long do civilizations last? Even with the most conservative estimates, the numbers are staggering. There are approximately 20 billion sun-like stars in our galaxy. Studies suggest at least 20% of them have Earth-like planets in the habitable zone. That's 4 billion potentially habitable worlds. In our galaxy alone, even if intelligent life only emerges on 0.1% of those worlds, that's still 4 million civilizations. 4 million. And remember, our galaxy is just one of 2 trillion. Now factor in time. If even one of those civilizations developed space travel just 1 million years before us, a blink of an eye in cosmic terms, they could have colonized the entire galaxy by now. Even traveling at a fraction of light speed, using technology we can already imagine, a civilization could spread across the Milky Way in 10 to 100 million years. That's less than 1% of the galaxy's age. They should be everywhere. They should be here. But they're not. In 1950, physicist Enrico Fermi was having lunch with colleagues at Los Alamos National Laboratory. The conversation turned to UFOs and the possibility of alien life. After some discussion, Fermi suddenly asked a simple question: where is everybody? His colleagues laughed, but the question stuck. Because Fermi wasn't joking, he was genuinely puzzled. The Fermi Paradox is the apparent contradiction between the high probability of extraterrestrial civilizations existing and the complete lack of evidence for them. We should see them, we should hear them, we should have been visited, colonized, or at least contacted by now. But we haven't. And over the decades, scientists have proposed dozens of possible explanations. Some are reassuring, most are not. And a few are absolutely terrifying. Let's explore them, starting with the most hopeful and ending with something else. The first possibility is simple. Maybe we just haven't looked hard enough or in the right way. SETI, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, has been operating since 1960. But in cosmic terms, that's nothing. We've examined only a tiny fraction of the sky on a limited range of frequencies for a brief moment in time. Imagine searching for a specific conversation happening somewhere on Earth by listening to one random radio frequency for a few seconds. You probably wouldn't find it. That doesn't mean conversations aren't happening. Maybe aliens communicate using methods we haven't discovered yet. Neutrino beams, gravitational waves, quantum entanglement. Technology so advanced we can't even detect it. This explanation is comforting. It suggests the universe might be full of life. We just need better tools to find it. Another possibility: the distances are simply too vast. The nearest star system is 4.2 light-years away. The nearest potentially habitable exoplanet is about 12 light-years away. The galaxy is 100,000 light-years across. Even if civilizations exist, physical contact or communication might be practically impossible. Messages would take thousands of years to arrive. Ships would take even longer. Each civilization might be an island, separated by oceans of space and time that can never be crossed. Lonely? Yes, but not threatening. This one is provocative. What if aliens have visited Earth, but we simply don't recognize them? An ant cannot comprehend a human. A fish cannot understand fire. What if the gap between us and an advanced civilization is even larger? They could be observing us right now, using technology so sophisticated that it's invisible to us. Probes the size of dust particles. Observation posts in dimensions we can't perceive. Surveillance so subtle we'd never detect it. As we discussed in our previous video, something could have been watching Earth for 10,000 years, and we'd have no idea. These explanations are relatively comforting. They suggest the universe might be full of life, and we simply need more time, better technology, or a shift in perspective to find it. But there are other explanations. Darker ones. Ones that suggest the silence isn't a limitation of our search. It's a warning. In 1996, economist Robin Hanson proposed a concept that has haunted scientists ever since. He called it the Great Filter. The idea is simple, but chilling. Somewhere between dead matter and galaxy-spanning civilizations, there's a wall, a barrier, a filter that almost no species ever passes through. Something stops life from reaching the stars. Something kills civilizations before they can spread. And the terrifying question is, where is that filter? If the Great Filter is behind us, we're lucky. It might be the emergence of life itself, something so improbable that Earth is one of the few places it ever happened. Or the jump from single-celled to multicellular organisms. Or the development of intelligence. If we've already passed the filter, then the universe is empty because life is incredibly rare. We're the exception. We're special. That would be wonderful news. But there's another possibility. What if the Great Filter is ahead of us? What if every civilization that reaches our level of development eventually destroys itself? Nuclear war. Engineered pandemics. Artificial intelligence gone wrong. Climate collapse. Resource depletion. What if technological advancement inevitably leads to self-destruction? What if no species ever survives long enough to colonize the stars? This is why some scientists argue that finding life on Mars would be the worst news in human history. Not because Martian bacteria would threaten us, but because of what their existence would imply. If life arose independently on Mars, right next door to us, then life is probably common. The Great Filter isn't the emergence of life. It must be something else. Something ahead of us. Something that kills every civilization before they can spread beyond their home world. According to this theory, the more common life is, the more terrifying the silence becomes. But what if civilizations don't destroy themselves? What if something else destroys them? This brings us to one of the most chilling explanations for the Fermi Paradox. It was popularized by Chinese science fiction author Liu Cixin in his novel The Dark Forest. And once you understand it, you'll never think about the universe the same way again. Imagine a dark forest at night. The forest is full of hunters. Each one is armed. Each one is silent. And each one knows that any sound, any signal of their presence, could attract a predator they can't defeat. The safest strategy is simple. Stay quiet. Stay hidden. And if you detect another hunter, eliminate them before they eliminate you. Because you can't know their intentions. You can't know their capabilities. You can't risk letting them find you first. The dark forest theory applies this logic to the cosmos. Consider the situation from an alien civilization's perspective. The universe is vast. Resources are limited. Any other civilization is a potential threat. Maybe not today. Maybe not in 1,000 years. But eventually, communication is risky. Revealing your location invites attack. Even peaceful contact is dangerous. A primitive civilization today could become a powerful rival tomorrow. The safest strategy? Silence, concealment. And if you detect another civilization, strike first. Destroy them before they become a threat. In the dark forest, there are no friends. Only prey and predators. And here's the terrifying implication for humanity. We have been screaming into the dark forest for over a century. Our radio signals have been traveling outward since the 1900s. We've sent intentional messages toward promising star systems. We've launched probes carrying information about our location, our biology, our weaknesses. If the dark forest theory is correct, we may have already made a fatal mistake. And somewhere out there, something may have already heard us. There's a variation of the dark forest theory that some researchers find even more disturbing. It's called the Berserker Hypothesis. What if, billions of years ago, a civilization decided to ensure it would never face competition? What if they created something to eliminate all other life before it could become a threat? Self-replicating machines, autonomous destroyers, programmed with one directive: seek out emerging civilizations and annihilate them. Berserkers. These machines wouldn't need faster-than-light travel. They would simply spread slowly, methodically, across the galaxy over millions of years, reproducing, watching, waiting. They would be patient, they would be thorough, and they would be everywhere. The civilization that created them might be long dead, but their legacy would endure, a galaxy-wide immune system, exterminating any new life that tries to rise. If the Berserkers exist, then every technological signature we emit, every radio signal, every rocket launch, every nuclear detonation, could be a beacon, calling them to us. There's one more explanation worth considering. It's less violent than the others, but in some ways it's just as unsettling. What if advanced civilizations have found us and decided to leave us alone? The zoo hypothesis, first proposed by astronomer John Ball in 1973, suggests that Earth might be a nature preserve, a protected habitat, a cosmic zoo where the animals don't know they're being watched. Perhaps there's a galactic community that has agreed not to interfere with developing civilizations. A prime directive, if you're a Star Trek fan. They watch, they study, but they don't make contact. Not until we're ready, or not until we do something that forces their hand. This explanation is strangely comforting and deeply disturbing at the same time. We're not alone, but we're being managed, observed, kept in the dark about our true place in the universe. And at any moment, the zookeepers could decide to step in. But there's one more possibility, one that scientists rarely talk about because it's the most disturbing of all. What if the silence means exactly what it sounds like? What if there's nobody out there? What if, in all the vastness of the cosmos, across 2 trillion galaxies and billions of years, we are the only ones? The universe is 93 billion light-years across, and it might be completely, utterly empty, except for us, one species, on one planet, in one corner of one galaxy, alone, forever. If this is true, then the silence isn't a warning about what might destroy us. It's a weight, the weight of being the only light in an infinite darkness, the only consciousness in a universe of dead matter, the only beings who will ever look up at the stars and wonder. And if we destroy ourselves through war or greed or short-sightedness, we won't just be ending humanity. We'll be ending everything. The universe will return to silence, and there will be no one left to hear it. So what does the silence mean? These are all theories, hypotheses proposed by scientists and thinkers trying to make sense of an impossible question. Is the silence a warning about our future, a sign that something terrible awaits any civilization that advances too far? Is it evidence that predators lurk in the darkness, destroying any species foolish enough to reveal itself? Is it proof that we're being watched, studied like animals in a zoo we can't perceive? Or is it simply emptiness? A universe that is vast and ancient and completely, devastatingly empty except for us? We don't know. That's the honest answer. We don't know. But here's what we do know. We're here, we're conscious, we're asking these questions. And whether the universe is full of life or completely empty, whether the silence is a warning or simply an absence, one thing is certain. What we do next matters. Because right now, we might be the only ones who can do anything at all. The silence is waiting for an answer. Maybe that answer is us.